Hey Randy, how are you?
Hi, Jeff. It's good to have you today.
Great. Well, thank you for joining me. And right out of the gates, I want to ask you, where do you think in the valuation industry that we are winning, that we're doing a great job?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of going on in the valuation space right now, especially economy is playing in that. But I think the economy has also allowed the profession to take a step back and evaluate everything that's going on and the things that are going well and the things that we still have challenges. Your question was on what's going really well today. And I would get going that, in the industry, I think technology is continuing to evolve pretty rapidly in the last couple of years. We've had the introduction of LiDAR technology coming into the space and how we're, creating efficiencies with our measuring and accuracy with our measuring. But also in the technology, there's AI playing into this. And with the AI studying appraisal reports, looking into the quality of the appraisal reports and studying even the photo recognition within the appraisals. And are we given proper conditions? Are we given proper ratings when we're looking at comparables? And I think it's really able to elevate the appraisal profession, which at the end of the day is going back to the consumer and providing quality appraisals to consumers as they make their financial transactions.
Great. I appreciate that answer. I don't usually ask, but I do think actually what you're doing with RSDS is a win for you're in the residential world, but I do think it's a win because you're actually doing it. You've got a model I think is really amazing. Describe a little bit what you're doing with RSDS, some of the genesis, where you came from, what you're doing, where you're going with it.
Yeah, RSDS was created to help try to solve the 30 plus year problem in the appraisal profession, which is barrier to entry. The current system right now lacks youth, diversity, inclusion, military service members, and we have a labor shortage when the market turns around. Right now, the market's down 70%, but it won't take much of a snapback to really feel that labor shortage. In the last 3 years, I think it's over 7,000 licenses are no longer with us, and that's a pretty steep decline within the profession. But this system has also created poor service levels, long wait times, and issues for people trying to get appraisals. And so technologies come in, bifurcated products have come in. But really, the RSDS solution is to aggressively hire and train the next generation of professional appraisers and creating high-paying careers for people who are currently not in the system. And so we've been doing that the last 2.5 years, almost 3 years now. We just broke our 200th appraiser in the company. We've graduated almost 45 trainees in the last year. So we're continuing to train, while the market's down. We were hoping to be training, 80 to 100 right now. You can't do that with the current market conditions. But we're now in 50 plus cities across the country. I think we're in 30 states. And so continuing to try to expand not only coverage, but also creating opportunity within that coverage on how do we get more appraisers licensed and how do we get more appraisers actively working in the profession.
Wow, that's amazing. 200 appraisers, 50 states, 30 cities. Congrats. That's amazing. It kind of leads to the next question. Where are our greatest challenges in the valuation space?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge that the industry has is, well, right now, while we don't see a huge shortage of appraisers, we most definitely see a lack of diversity in the profession. Right now, I believe in the top 400 careers, it's ranked number 400 for the most diverse profession that exists. The average appraiser today is 61 years old, typically a white male. And so we lack diversity and youth in this profession, which is not unlike any other top 400 profession out there. And so I think the entire industry has recognized that and recognized that they have an obligation to continue promoting diversity and inclusion. There's also a lot of money that's going into this. I know, Chase Bank has put over 5 million, I believe, into diversifying the profession. I think Wells Fargo just put 6 million into diversifying the profession. So people are putting some cash into there. And then there's people like RSDS, which are really trying to leverage people that are in the profession and say, why don't you train? Why don't you also help give back to the profession that gave so much to you and put your license to use in a way it hasn't been used previously? And that's what we're doing here at the company. We're incentivizing training and people bring in this youth and diversity.
Great answer. Thank you. So, where do you think we're going, or where do we need to go? If you're looking forward and you were king.
I think we got to continue reestablishing trust in the financial sector. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that still question an appraiser, and are they going to provide a quality appraisal? And that's sad, because when you really start looking at the numbers, I mean, appraisers are doing the right thing for the most part. Appraisers are providing quality appraisals. Within any profession, there's always going to be some rotten tomatoes, and I think as a profession, we've got to hold a high expectations. We've got to make sure that we uphold trust in the profession, and do all of that while reestablishing trust and showing, not just saying, hey, we're different, we're trying to do things better, but show the success, show the diversity that's coming in. How are the numbers shifting? How is appraisal quality increasing? I think the GSEs have a part of that. I think appraisers have a part of that. And I think industry leaders have a part of that.
So, what do you think that, in addition to trust, what has the appraisal bias taken a ding on the trust, or is it other? Is it a quality competency issue? What do you, let's talk about trust just a little bit.
Well, I think one, it starts with your image of the profession. I mean, when people are looking and they're saying there's no such thing as an African American appraiser, well, one, that's not true. There are, but there most definitely needs to be more. I mean, when you look at the racial breakdown of the profession in relation to the general makeup of our country, there is a huge gap in those. And so that's going to take time. That's not something that you can just flip a switch and fix. So that's where these initiatives are really important, and sharing the success of the initiatives and what it's doing. But then we've got to incorporate the technology and studying appraisals and making sure that, you know, values are being established appropriately, and that there isn't any biasness taking place, that the appraiser can fully withdraw their identity and do a quality appraisal that's accurate, that's defendable, that could be able to be replicated again. They've got to be able to do those things to state, here's why the value is what it is. And I think as we have technology able to elevate the industry, able to show the history of appraisals and the value, and using systems and using analytical software to be able to study trends, it's only making us better than, you know, I mean, 10, 20 years ago, the access to data was the hardest part. Now we have access to a lot of data. Are we taking advantage of that data? Are we as a profession trying to elevate each other through the data? And then at the end of the day, as an industry, say we are providing quality appraisals that you can trust.
Great, great, thank you. And you know, some of the people that you're graduating, you know, the younger, more diverse graduates, when they go through your training, what do they say about the profession? And I know they're new to it,
Yeah.
but how do they describe it? Do they find it interesting, engaging, flexible work? What do they say about it?
Well, one, there's two different groups that come in. There's groups that have been trying to get into the appraisal industry for many, many years, and so this is a blessing. They know a lot about the industry, the positives of it, the issues that the profession is dealing with. And so I think they come into it saying, this is a breath of relief. I finally got an opportunity. This is everything I have ever dreamed of actually getting into, because I think these people are passionate about a career in the appraisal space. They just could not get in. They could not find a supervisor. And up until recently, that was the only way you could get into the industry, is have to have a supervisor. You know, the other group is people that may not know about the industry, but they heard about it through, you know, recruitment initiatives that are taking place today, if that be appraisal diversity initiative. You know, we go to college campuses, educate on the career. And so So there are people that join the profession not knowing about it, and then all of a sudden they have, I think, an epiphany of, oh my gosh, this profession allows me the flexibility in my scheduling. You can have a family and be an appraiser. There is benefits to that. I think they're shocked at how much technology still needs to be developed in the profession and the access to the data. You would think the data is at your fingertips always, and sometimes you get really into some rural areas, you get into some tribal lands, no data exists, and so that's a different way to do an appraisal, and so it's challenging. And I think some of that is really shocking to people that don't know the industry in and out. But between the two of them, I think they come in and they find the career one that can be lucrative. It can help provide for a family. It is something that I think gives back just as much as what you give, and through that you can network and truly have a network of people that care about you.
Great, thank you, Randy, and I appreciate being on the podcast. And the reason I called it Indispensable Appraisers, it's really people like you and what you're doing with RSDS. That is where we're winning. Where you're actually doing, you have a playbook with what you're doing. You're actually training, graduating, bringing new people into the field. So I really thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Great, thank you.
Awesome.